Hello students, welcome to our third video of class 8 history, our part 3, chapter 2 from trade to territory. We have already discussed in our previous video about how trade led to battles and also about the famous battle of Plassey and Buxar and also its consequences. Today we will discuss about how company rule expands in India. So let us begin. After the Battle of Plassey in 1757, Clive was made the Governor-General of Bengal by his superiors in Madras. The victory gave major boost to the company. In 1760, Robert Clive left India and returned to England with massive wealth. He returned to India in 1765 and was made the governor second time from 1765 to 1767. He introduced the dual system of government in Bengal. Under this system, the administration was divided between the company and the Nawab, but in reality, the actual power was concentrated in the hands of the company. This complex system remained in practice during the period from 1765 to 1772. Under this system, the company took over defense and left civil administration in the hands of the Nawab. Now, a lot of company officials made millions of pounds and lived lavish lifestyles in England. One such person was Robert Clive. He made a lot of money in India through unfair means. When he finally left India in 1767, his Indian fortune was worth 4,01,102 pounds. Just imagine the amount of money he had made in just few years. Interestingly, when he was appointed Governor of Bengal in 1764, he was asked to remove corruption in company administration, but he was himself cross-examined in 1772 by the British Parliament, which was suspicious of his vast wealth. Although he was acquitted, he committed suicide in 1774. However, not all company officials succeeded in making money like Clive. Many died an early death in India due to disease and war, and it would not be right to regard all of them as corrupt and dishonest. Many of them came from humble backgrounds, and their uppermost desire was to earn enough in India to return to Britain and lead a comfortable life. Those who managed to return with wealth led flashy lives and flaunted their riches. They were called Nabobs, an anglicized version of the Indian word Nawab. If we analyze the process of annexation of Indian states by the East India Company from 1757 to 1857, certain key aspects emerged. The company rarely launched a direct military attack on an unknown territory. Instead, it used a variety of political, economic, and diplomatic methods to extend its influence before annexing an Indian kingdom. After the Battle of Buxar in 1764, the company appointed residents in Indian states. They were political or commercial agents, and their job was to serve and further the interests of the company. Through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be the successor to the throne and who was to be appointed in administrative posts. Sometimes the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. According to the terms of this alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were to be protected by the company, but had to pay for the subsidiary forces that the company was supposed to maintain for the purpose of this protection. If the Indian rulers failed to make the payment, then part of their territory was taken away as penalty. For example, when Richard Wellesley was Governor General, the Nawab of Awadh was forced to give over half of his territory to the company in 1801, as he failed to pay for the subsidiary forces. Hyderabad was also forced to keep territories on similar grounds. Around 1772, the company acquired power not only in Bengal but also in Madras and Bombay. British territories were divided into administrative units called presidency. Just like Bengal, Madras and Bombay also had governor. The supreme head of all this presidency was Governor General. Lord Warren Hastings was made the first Governor General of India in 1773. He played a significant role in expanding the company rule in India. By now, we have seen the expansion of company rule in Bengal. Now let us see the expansion of company rule in other presidencies. One such place was the kingdom of Mysore. The company branch of Madras wanted to control over Mysore because it controlled the profitable trade on the Malabar coast, where the company purchased pepper and cardamom. And the rulers of Mysore also had strong anti-European views. The company fought 4 wars against the ruler of Mysore. First, Mysore War. After the death of the Raja of Mysore in 1760, his general Hyder Ali came to the throne. The first Mysore War began in 1767, in which Hyder Ali defeated the forces of the East India Company and captured Madras in 1769. By a treaty signed in 1769, all conquests made by either side were restored. Moreover, the British promised to help Hyder Ali in case he was attacked by another power. Thus ended the First Anglo-Mysore War from 1767 to 1769. Second Mysore War in 1771, when Hyder Ali was attacked by the Marathas, the British did not come to his help. Moreover, the British also captured the port of Mahe from the French. Hyder Ali wanted the British to vacate the port of Mahe because it was the only outlet for Mysore's trade. The British refused to do this, hence the Second Mysore War broke out in 1780. Hyder Ali died in the middle of the war in 1782. His son Tipu Sultan continued the struggle against the British. Ultimately, the Treaty of Mangalore was signed in 1784, which restored all conquests made by either side. Thus, even the Second Mysore War, that was from 1780 to 1784, ended as indecisive. Third Mysore War. The Treaty of Mangalore was no more than a truce for the British and Tipu, as each side was keen to settle the claim of supremacy over Deccan. Lord Cornwallis was the Governor General of Bengal between 1786 and 1793. The immediate cause of the Third Mysore War was the attack of Tipu Sultan on Travancore, whose ruler was an ally of the company. The Nizam of Hyderabad and the Marathas were already alarmed at the rising power of Tipu and viewed it as a danger for their power. This resulted in a triple alliance between the Marathas, the Nizam, and the British against Tipu in 1790. Their combined forces besieged Tipu's capital Seringapatam and compelled Tipu to sign a treaty. This treaty of Seringapatam ended Tipu's dominant position in the south. He had to surrender many of his territories to the Marathas, Nizam, and the British, and also had to pay a heavy war indemnity. Thus ended the Third Mysore War, with heavy losses to Tipu. Fourth Mysore War. At the time of the Fourth Mysore War, 1799, Lord Wellesley was the Governor General of Bengal. Tipu was determined to avenge his defeat in the Third Mysore War. He fortified his capital and recruited fresh soldiers for his cavalry. Lord Wellesley was quick to realize the inventions of Tipu, therefore he revived the triple alliance with the Nizam and the Marathas. The Fourth Mysore War was very short but decisive. Tipu's capital, Seringapatam, was captured by the British. Tipu, the Tiger of Mysore, died while defending his capital. The British took control of a large part of Mysore, including Kanara, Coimbatore, and Seringapatam. The French, who had fought on the side of Tipu, were also eliminated from India for good. So this is how the East India Company captured the kingdom of Mysore. So let us summarize what we have learned. Company officials became masters of Bengal and developed a taste for the Nawab's lifestyle, resulting in corruption. Awadh and Hyderabad were annexed under the annexation policy of subsidiary alliance. 4 Anglo-Mysore wars were fought between 1767 to 1805, which brought Mysore under British control. So let us see what you have grasped today. There is question number 1 for you. Who was the first Governor General of India? The options are A. Richard Wellesley, B. Warren Hastings, C. Robert Clive, or D. Thomas Munro. And the correct answer is B. Warren Hastings. The next question is, who introduced the new policy of subsidiary alliance? The options are Richard Wellesley, B. Warren Hastings, C. Robert Clive, or D. Tipu Sultan. And the correct answer is A. Richard Wellesley. Your next question is, between whom was the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War fought? The options are A. Hyder Ali and East India Company, Sirajuddaulah and East India Company, French and the East India Company, or Tipu Sultan and East India Company? The correct answer is B. Tipu Sultan and East India Company. Now it's practice time, so here is some home task for you. The first question is, explain the system of subsidiary alliance. The next question is, give a brief description of all the 4 Anglo-Mysore wars. In our next video, we will be discussing about the Anglo-Maratha war, the Anglo-Sikh war, and the system of doctrine of lapse. Till then, take care of yourself, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.